Today on Christmas Eve, my spirits stand uplifted by a message sent out by the Supreme Court of India, two judges of the Supreme Court of India. Three days ago, on the 21st of December, said in effect, I'm not quoting the actual words, said in effect, don't let this man die. What have you done so far? Save him. And if anything were to happen to him, you will be held responsible. This was the admonishment and message of the Supreme Court to the Punjab government. What is it that I'm talking about? Jagjit Singh Dhaliwal was fasting, and he had been fasting for 27 days. And his doctors were saying that his life hangs by a thread. At any moment there could be a cardiac arrest. It is in these conditions that the Supreme Court of India, I won't go into the details of how it is that the papers before them, they said in no uncertain terms, you have to save him. I'm not sure about the recent condition of Dhaliwal. I really don't know, because he's one of those leaders, once he decides something, he does it. So let that be. Now, I recall with sadness that the judiciary, the courts, did not show this compassion. Humanity before law, a human being's life to be saved, and not all the naughty, K-N-O-T-T-Y, naughty ways in which all clauses and subclauses are put together to really make things difficult for a citizen to have his liberty or his rights. I'm talking specifically of two cases where the courts could have saved them. One, Father Stanislaus Lourdes Swami, a Jesuit priest who was the same age of me, and who was also a great social, I would say even activist, a man filled with compassion for society and for those in society who did not have any idea of their rights. He was working in the Ranchi area of Chhattisgarh in the service of the tribal people. And what he was telling them was that you have these rights. These are the rights that you have under the various laws. The rights to your land, the possession of land, the safeguards against the dispossession of land. This was the general sphere of action that he had. You get the drift. He was working for the Adivasis, the tribals. Well, when one works for the tribals and the others eye their lands for profit, others are, of course, the corporations which are in league with the politicians. They're all one in this matter. And then therefore any person, Jesuit priest or any other person who works among the tribal people and who wants to make these people aware of the rights that they have already. Well, for them, he is an inconvenient person. And so it happened that after some years of this work in that area, remember he was also at various times director of the Indian Social Institute, Bangalore. Thought of man, no ordinary criminal. After he was working in this area and the tribals were getting educated in their rights as given by law, not new rights or anything like that, given by law, he was picked up. Under what I will explain later, under the monster of a law, UAPA, a law which is a denial of law, a law which ab initio is illegal, against the Constitution, that sort of law. He was picked up and he was thrown into jail under this law. Now the thing about this law is it stands normal jurisprudence, which we all know, on its head. What is here? They put it like this. What is that? In normal jurisprudence, wherever courts function all over the world, a man is innocent until he is proved guilty. In this law, it is the other way about. A man is guilty unless he is proved innocent. Who will prove his innocence? The state which has already stacked things and implicated him, they're not going to budge an inch. And who will protect the poor man who is already charged? How can he provide evidence? This law was passed by the parliament. Look at things, how they are. In 1967, for a particular situation which was happening in the Naxalbari area. That was, we can call it an uprising, things like that. These things happen, an uprising, there was that. Let it be granted, we are not going into the Naxalbari issues. This law was passed. And it has continued till this day, 60 years. Why? Because successive governments have found in this law a convenient way, a huge canopy way of putting any inconvenient people into jail. It's a law that covers everything. Anybody can be put in jail, and therefore poets, activists, writers, thinkers, and professors, there are many who have been put in jail, along with simple Adivasi folk, tribal people. They're all still in jail in many cases. So I spoke about professors have been put in jail. I'll come to that later, in a minute. The Jesuit priest had Parkinson's disease from an early age. He couldn't hold a glass of water. And the sipper that he was using was just taken away. Why? Because the manual, the jail manual would say that no prisoner can have any object, outside object, which might do harm to himself or to others. So that was the kind of way in which rules were being used anyway. He had to go to, I think, through the courts or something to get that sipping straw type thing back. Till then, of course, he had led a very miserable existence. But some people in the jail, his inmates, brothers in suffering, they helped him to hold the water. He petitioned the courts many times that he was dying and he wanted to spend his last days with his people. By people, he didn't mean family and all that. You know, he's from Trishnapalli. If by people, when Jesuits say by people, they don't mean the family at all. They leave the family, everything, in the service of the Society of Jesus. But again, there were lots of, you know what I said earlier, naughty procedures, K-N-O-T-T-Y. You have to fulfill procedures. Committees that looked into whether he should at all go to hospital, or which hospital, but JJ Hospital, Bombay, some people suggested and all that. But the poor man was saying, I just want to go to my people. By people he meant the tribals with whom he worked. He wanted to be there with them. That was the area of his work. He wanted to be there with them. But no, that didn't happen. And therefore, the result was that he died in jail. The second case is that a similar case because Professor G.N. Sai Baba, professor of English at Delhi University, was charged under this monster of a thing for law, this negation of law, this law which is a negation of law and justice. He was also jailed under UAPA. The only difference between Father Swami, Stan Swami, and Professor Sai Baba is that Professor Sai Baba did not die in jail, but by the time he spent about 7 or 8 years in jail, by the time he was acquitted by the courts, his health had been broken. So he didn't live longer after that, much longer. He died, and he died about 3 months ago. Now for every Father Stan Swami, and for every Professor Sai Baba, there are hundreds and hundreds who are in jail under the UAPA. They are not professors perhaps, but you will get a sprinkling of writers, student activists and all that, all inconvenient men and women too, in jail. So this is something staring us in the face, and the questions definitely will be asked. Who is responsible? It's so easy to say government, because there have been successive governments from 1967. Therefore, all the scholars, you did it, I did it, all that sort of thing won't work. It's not government. It's not even the legislation. It was passed by the legislators. It was passed by the parliament. It was passed by the parliamentarians. And who elects the parliamentarians in our system? Who elects the parliament members in our system? We elect them. And so who are responsible? Somebody has to take responsibility. You can't shift responsibility from one to the other. That's not done. We are responsible. And so what shall we do? Shall we go out? Shall I advise everyone to go to the streets and demonstrate and do something that will only create more? Violence never, ever solves any problem. demonstrative processions of the kind that we see every day with placards and all that, and they come back after the processionists, after they come back, whatever political party, anything, they come back to their comfortable living, perfect living. In the case of Father Stan Swami, even the church didn't really come out and really support him. For other cases, they may demonstrate. They frowned upon him. That is an aside. Let it be. So then, what then? What then? I just want to think that we have to do something that calls for some action within us. There is such a thing as our Atmiya Shakti, that means soul force. So, if each one of us can feel a little hurt, a little more than just sadness, a little hurt, then maybe a small fire is lit there. And we might then bring a certain letter in the preamble of the Constitution, fraternity, brotherhood. We might bring that word alive. And when that word really comes alive, a magic will happen. And we will all be the citizens that we ought to be. Concerned about our brothers. Knowing well that what happens to them will also happen to you. And we decide our destiny. No man is an island. And therefore, my brother's suffering diminishes me because I am a part of this whole humankind. So the first thing before you feel the hurt is to just find out how many people are now in jail under the UAPA. And the composition of those people. And then after seeing all that before your eyes, feel just a little hurt, a little sadness, and that will start the magic. If all of us can do that, then there will be change, because after all, we elect the members of Parliament. We determine our final destiny. Take care.